The new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, is filled with new things. This is an entirely new concept for the Zelda series. Well, no. We have seen a lot of these mechanics and items before in the first Zelda game for the NES. Even Miyamoto says this. It's not a bad thing, but what are the connections between the first game and the new one? What do they have in common? And why did they change the formula? Well, it's time to find out. The first Zelda game begins with the player controlling Link, armed with a small shield from an overhead perspective. A sword can be found in front of him on the opening screen of the game. To advance, Link must explore the Overworld, a large outdoor map with varied environments. Throughout the game, merchants, gamblers, old ladies and other people guide Link with cryptic clues. These people are scattered across the Overworld and are hidden in caves, shrubberies or behind walls. So this is where the similarities begin. You are dropped in the world with no direction and you can go anywhere, just like in Breath of the Wild. No story or any clue to who you are or what you're doing there. In Breath of the Wild, you wake up in a shrine and walk outside into the open world. From this point on, you can do whatever you want. And just like the first Zelda game, we see the old man at the beginning of the game. In both games, the old man helps Link by giving him advice on how to move forward in his adventure, and providing him with important items. In the first Zelda game, Link even gambles with the old man, so who knows? But what about exploration? Well, both games are 100% built around exploration. The way you advance is through exploring the land and beating dungeons. No one tells you where to go, you have to find it on your own. And in Breath of the Wild, we also get shrines, which are mini-challenges. Miyamoto drew his inspiration for the first Zelda game from his experience as a boy around Kyoto, where he explored nearby fields, woods and caves. And throughout the Zelda titles, he always tries to impart to players some of the sense of exploration and limitless wonder he felt. We also see this in Breath of the Wild. There are a lot of hidden things in the world. For example, the rocks that you can blow up, and behind it is a chest. Now some of you might think, we have seen this before in other Zelda games. And you're right, but there's a difference. In Ocarina of Time, for example, you could clearly see which rocks could be destroyed. But this is different in Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, it's way harder to spot, because it looks almost the same as the other parts of the mountainside, which we also see in Zelda 1. Another thing both the first Zelda and Breath of the Wild have in common is getting distracted. In the first Zelda, there were a lot of secrets that you could find, so you would get distracted very easily if you saw something interesting. We also see this in Breath of the Wild. The world is filled with little secrets and rewards. Behind every hill could be treasure. And thanks to this, you get distracted very easily. But there's one big difference here. In the first Zelda, the final dungeon cannot be entered until the previous 8 have been completed. The order of completing dungeons is somewhat arbitrary, but many dungeons can be reached only by using items gained in the previous one. So this game doesn't have all the freedom in the world. But this is different with Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you can go to the final boss at any point in the game, even at the very beginning. This was said in the E3 demo of the game.
You know, before this stream started, we were kind of joking around. You can probably take on Ganon with just as he is in the Noon, and you really can do that. That's how much freedom this game offers.
So Breath of the Wild has no limits when it comes to the ending of the game. So the beginning, story and exploration are very similar. The only difference is that they expanded on the concepts in the new Zelda game. But what kind of other things do we see in Breath of the Wild that we have seen in the first Zelda game? Well, we also come across a couple of items that look almost identical. Meat. This item, which appears to be some sort of meat, can be used to lure enemies to a specific location, making them easier for Link to kill. Now we also see huge pieces of meat in Breath of the Wild, mostly in bokoblin camps, and they look very similar. Sadly enough, you can't lure enemies with the meat, as far as I know. Another iconic item from the first Zelda game that makes a return is the Raft. Link can obtain the Raft in level 3 in the first quest and level 4 in the second quest. It is only usable when standing on one of the few docks in Hyrule. Now this little raft can be used to discover secrets which are blocked off by water. In Breath of the Wild we use this raft for the same purpose. But you can't take it with you, it's just too big. The magic wands also return in Breath of the Wild, but this item has been seen in a couple of different Zelda games after the first one. For example, A Link to the Past. But still, the fire rod in Breath of the Wild looks really cool, is very powerful, and a lot of fun. There's just so much Breath of the Wild has in common with The Legend of Zelda, and Miyamoto also admitted that he took a lot of inspiration from the first Zelda game. The Legend of Zelda was a bestseller for Nintendo, selling over 6.5 million copies. It was reissued in 1990 as a part of Nintendo's Classic series, along with Zelda 2, Metroid and other high-profile games. The game placed first in the Players Poll Top 30 in Nintendo Power's first issue and continued to dominate the list in the early 1990s. But why did they change the Zelda formula? Why did they go back to their roots? Well, the franchise became predictable. They didn't try anything new for a long time. After Ocarina of Time's success, they kind of changed the franchise by following the Ocarina of Time formula. The Legend of Zelda formula was almost completely lost after A Link to the Past. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. The story of the Zelda games after Zelda 2 were a lot better. But for some reason, Nintendo started to think that getting lost in a Zelda game was a bad thing. So they scrapped a lot of the old formula to change that, since Zelda 1 gave almost no hints on what to do. But getting lost is fun, and that's what they learned in Breath of the Wild. The last game that had any real exploration similar to Zelda 1 was the Wind Waker, since the sea was completely open and you could go anywhere. And now they finally gave the franchise something completely new. They went back to their roots. And now we have a balanced combination between Ocarina of Time's formula and the one from the first Zelda game. Breath of the Wild is what Zelda 1 could have been if they had the technology back in the day. You watched the entire video, awesome! If you want to watch more, click the annotations on the screen right now or in the upper right corner. And if you don't want to miss a thing, then just subscribe.